Hey everyone, welcome back. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know how much I love the bulk store, specifically the Bulk Barn. Here in Canada, we have the Bulk Barn. I believe it's just in Canada, but I might be wrong. And it's one of my favorite places to shop, and there's a couple of reasons why. First, almost always the prices are better for bulk goods than for individual packages, and you can find all sorts of things in there, things that can be difficult to find in just a regular smaller grocery store. But primarily the reason that I love the Bulk Barn so much and bulk shopping in general is because I live in a tiny house and I don't necessarily have room to store big packages of things, and it's always more expensive to buy smaller packages of things, smaller bags of beans, smaller bags of rice, things like that, than if you buy a big bag. And then I have to find a place to store it. Now, I do have a lot of storage in the tiny house, but I just don't like to do that. So when I shop at the Bulk Barn, I'm able to buy just the amount that I need for the next few weeks, for a month or so, and not a bunch extra. Also, I'm not dealing with a bunch of extra packaging, which is nice. And then when it comes down to spices and things like that, sometimes I want to try a recipe and it calls for a spice that I'm not sure I like, or I certainly don't have, such as cardamom. I have a coffee cake recipe that calls for cardamom, not sure. And I had to buy some. It turns out it's not something that I like, not something that I will ever use again. I actually no longer put it in that recipe when I make it, but the original recipe called for it. So it was nice to be able to buy just a little bit for that recipe, try it out. And that's the nice thing about, again, a bulk store. You have access to all these different spices, all these different seasonings, and you can just buy a little bit of each. And I really find that that is much more economical for dollar-wise and space-wise. So before I take you on a tour of the local Bulk Barn that just opened near my place, I'm going to show you some of the things that I almost always buy in bulk, and a couple of containers that I use. So here's some of the things that I almost always buy from the bulk store, Bulk Barn in particular. Raw, unsalted cashews. You know that I use these all the time in my sauce recipes and in my creamer recipes. And the bulk store is the best place to buy them. The prices are the best. Oats, any kind of oats. These are quick oats, but steel cut, any kind of oats that you might want. Really inexpensive at the bulk store. Sugar, couscous, another thing that is easy to buy at the bulk store, and you can buy all different kinds, whole wheat or regular. Lentils. I have green and red here. I buy these all the time at the bulk store. They're so inexpensive and I use them all the time. The green or brown, whatever that you buy, I use as a replacement for ground beef in things like shepherd's pie, tacos, things like that, pasta sauce even. And then these, I love to make soup with these and add them to curries and things like that because they get nice and soft. This won't surprise you, nutritional yeast. Again, something that I use all the time. In any cheese sauce, you will see nutritional yeast. It's called Nooch. It's deactivated yeast, and the best price is at the Bulk Barn or the bulk store you can usually. Popcorn. Now, I just buy it in one of my bags, and then I pour it back into this container that I have from Orville Redenbacher from a while ago. So whenever I want popcorn, I just go to the bulk store. Dried beans. I've just pulled out the chickpeas, but dried beans are super inexpensive in general, even cheaper at the bulk store, and you can get almost any kind. Like seriously, I'll show you in the video. There are so many different kinds of dried beans that you can buy, and I love to make them in my Instant Pot. I think in the video you're going to see I'm buying navy beans for a recipe. This is cornmeal, again, something that I buy at the bulk store because when I make cornbread, I need it, and I just don't want a great big bag of it hanging around. And since even if I buy the bag, I'm going to put it in one of these containers anyways, so Tapioca starch, also known as tapioca flour. I use this a lot in my recipes as well for cheese sauces, anything that needs thickening that also you want to have sort of a stretchy feel. Tapioca starch, also known as tapioca flour, not the little tapioca beads. And then flours, both white, whole wheat, self-rising, any kind of flour that you want, even gluten-free flours. They have a huge selection. Oat flour, any kind of flour that you might want, you can get at the bulk store. So spices are also something that I buy from the bulk store. You can see here, this is poultry seasoning. I always buy garlic, onion, and then onion flakes. In this case, I will go with a bigger jar and buy a bit more than just what'll fit in here. And then I can have that in the cupboard because I use these spices a lot, especially the onion and garlic. Almost every recipe that I have starts with that. And then the poultry seasoning is awesome when you're making my tofu bites and you want them to taste like popcorn chicken. You can bring in your own containers. I think they're allowing that again now. That Corona, well, hasn't really settled down, but I think they're allowing that in now. But you have to bring in a clean container, and then you take it up to the front desk and you have them weigh it. And they write what's called a tear number on the top, on the lid or on the bottom, somewhere on the jar or the container. And what that is the dry weight of the container so that they can subtract it from the filled container. Makes sense, right? So all you need to do, you can bring in any kind of container you want, but it just needs to be clean, and you have to go up to the front counter and have them weigh it first. You can also bring in your own bags. Now I have these mesh bags. And I've got them in many different sizes actually. And the thing that I like about these, you can take them to the regular grocery store as well as the bulk store. But the thing I love about these is these ones already have the tear weight on there. So you don't have to have these weighed. These can already be just used. And I can use these for beans, lentils, rice, popcorn, anything, pasta, anything that's obviously not a powder or a spice, you can use these for, and then bring them home and put them in your other containers. These are really handy. They're washable. They're awesome. I was given a couple of these, and they're awesome. Again, you can use them in a grocery store and stuff. I don't use these at the bulk store because they don't have the tear weight on them, and there's really no place to write it on there, and I just don't want to make things more complicated. But those are some of the things, just some of the things that I buy from the bulk store. Let me show you the video now of going through the bulk store, the new store that's just opened up, and just the variety of things that are there. If you already use the bulk store, then you already know, you're already a convert. But if you've never been in one and always wondered what they were like, or if it was more economical, let me show you what it is. You can get virtually any kind of rice here that you are interested. There's jasmine, wild, basmati. Brown basmati, sprouted, which is kind of cool. So really, even this one I've never seen before, but it's Indian style rice with sprouted beans. Fantastic base for a soup. This whole aisle is just treats, candies, licorice, chocolates, candy bars as you guys in the US call them, but chocolate bars as we call them here in Canada. All right, I'm done. Now I just need to get into line and get myself out of here. Whew. Anyways, guys, so that's Bulk Barn. There is also dog food. I don't think there's cat food, but there's bird seed, all sorts of treats, things like that. Am I convinced that everything in there is less expensive than buying it somewhere else? No. But when it comes to staples like beans, rice, spices, flours, pastas, even if you just need a little bit of something for a recipe, this is a great option because you don't have to buy a big bag, a big package. So often we have recipes that we want to try that have a spice that we don't have. And when you go to the store to buy a jar, it's like ridiculous prices. Whereas you can just buy a tablespoon or two here, just what you need, and try it in the recipe. And then if you like it, you can always buy more. But the fact is, it's always cheaper to buy it here. Well, there you go. That is the Bulk Barn here in Calgary. Most likely you have a bulk store in your community. If not, there are bulk sections in most grocery stores. But I just find it so economical, especially when you live in a small space, or if you live in a space that doesn't have a lot of storage for your kitchen, for your pantry and things like that. It's nice to buy just what you need for the next little while. When it comes to rice, I do buy big bags because I use it so much. In general, this is how I buy most of my ingredients, my dry ingredients and my spices, because it's just so much easier and you can get anything there, especially in a store that's 100% dedicated to bulk items. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.